Welcome to Analog Exposure. For this kickoff video, I'm going to be reviewing and using the very iconic Pentax K1000. And I'm going to be doing this for a specific reason, because I truly believe this is the ideal camera to start film photography. It is a fully manual camera, no auto exposure, no aperture or shutter priority, no exposure compensation, fully manual. So you need to understand the basics of photography. This is the reason why the camera was often used by students learning photography. So, without further ado, let's dive into this iconic camera. Time for an in-depth look at the Pentax K1000. This actual camera I bought 40 years ago in the United States, together with a standard 50mm 2.0 lens. The lens is interchangeable. It has the K bayonet fitting. You press the button here on the body, turn the lens counterclockwise to take off the lens. That's how easy it is. And this lens can now be interchanged with other K bayonet lenses, both from Pentax but also from other manufacturers. To put the lens back on the body, we realign the orange dot on the lens with the orange dot on the body, put it back together, turn it clockwise until you hear a click, and now it's fastened again on the body. Now, like I mentioned in the introduction, the Pentax K1000 is a very simplistic camera, so let me go through the details. We have a film winder on top of the camera, which of course advances your film. When you advance the film, you see an orange dot between the film counter here and the shutter release. When I press the shutter, it disappears. So this orange dot actually indicates that the camera is ready for a next picture. There it disappears again. We can connect an external cable release to the shutter button, and here we see the shutter speed dial, which varies from a B bulb mode, which keeps the shutter open as long as you press the shutter button or the external shutter release, all the way up to 1/1000th of a second, hence the name K1000. It has a zinc speed to flash of 1/60th, and we also see on the shutter dial the possibility to change the ISO setting depending on which film you're using. And you change the ISO setting by pulling up this ring, this outer ring, and then turning the dial to the appropriate ISO setting, which of course again then corresponds to the internal metering system. So on top here we also see the flash mount, we see the film rewind knob. On the front we see a sync connector for an external flash. We have two mounts for a strap, and when we look at the bottom of the camera we see a battery compartment, a tripod connector, and the release button for rewinding the film. To open the back of the camera we pull up the film return, and it opens up the camera and it clicks shut again. On the lens we can adjust the aperture, and this is more or less an overview of the Pentax K1000. The Pentax K1000 uses a TTL metering system, which means through the lens, and it measures the light reflected off of your subject. The light is metered based on an average with a slight bias towards the center of the composition. When the meter is in the center, it is correctly exposed. When it is towards the plus, it is overexposed, and if the meter goes towards the minus, it is underexposed. The battery in the camera operates the meter. The camera operates without the battery because it is fully mechanical. Now that we've reviewed the camera, it's time for a short summary and to look at the pros and the cons of the Pentax K1000. First of all, it's fully manual. You set the aperture and the shutter speed. It has a built-in light meter. It has interchangeable lenses of high quality. And it is a very good build quality. So it has quite a lot going for it, this little camera. But it does have a few cons. Let me explain. First of all, I'm missing a camera grip. It's quite a flat design. Even though it's nice, it feels nice in the hand, it still could use a camera grip. There's also no possibility to change the focusing screens. It comes standard with a prism focusing screen. My preference would be a split screen, but that's personal. Besides that, I know that the button to change the lenses is quite fragile. It can break, so be careful with that button. And besides that, I think it's a great camera to get into film photography. They're not expensive, and you have an abundance of high quality glass, which you can buy. So I would truly recommend this camera to get started. In the next video, I'll show you how I work with this camera and what kind of results I can achieve. Look forward to seeing you again.